decision to sit their star receiver. We say hello to CBS Sports NFL writer Garrett Podell, who joins us live from the Star. That's the Cowboys practice facility in Frisco, Texas. Garrett, sitting CeeDee Lamb with a shoulder injury that won't need surgery. Is this kind of a white flag that the Cowboys are throwing up and saying, you know, we've had enough, let's put some bubble wrap over a guy we can't afford to get hurt more than he already is?
Hey, Russ, I don't know if it's a white flag on their 2024 season, but it certainly is an admission that they realize they're not going to the playoffs. I spoke to CeeDee Lamb on Sunday night after they upset the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 26-24 on Sunday Night Football. Lamb had over 100 yards, and he told me, I'm just focused on trying to keep my shoulder attached to my body. So that's a pretty telling quote when you're thinking about your superstar 25-year-old wide receiver. You just invested a 4-year, $136 million contract in this past offseason at the end of August. And I think it's a realistic expectation or realization of where they are. When speaking to Mike McCarthy this morning, he was asked about, so what is your process handling players with injuries? And he said, look, with 2 games left in the year, it's going to be a personal conversation between the player and the team's training and medical staff. And so clearly when CeeDee came in this morning and had that conversation with the Cowboys training staff, they came to the conclusion it's time to shut it down. And when I spoke to Micah Parsons this afternoon, he said, look, you can't question CeeDee Lamb's toughness, the way he's played through this injury and his love of the game of football. And he said this is why he thinks CeeDee Lamb is the best receiver in football and that he's, quote, quarterback proof, because CeeDee, as we just saw, he went over 1,000 yards, 4th time in 5 seasons. And Parsons made sure to let me know, look, he almost did it with Andy Dalton in 2020 when Dak Prescott was out with his fractured ankle. He did it with Dak Prescott, 1,000 yards receiving, 2021 through 2023. And then this year, he eclipsed the 1,000-yard mark by catching passes since Week 10 with Cooper Rush as the starting quarterback. So for the Cowboys, this is a huge loss in terms of the engine of their offense and how they base the entire passing game around what Lamb can do and his skill set. But this is something that I think is probably in the best long-term interest for both Lamb and the Cowboys going forward.
Could this spread to other players, too, on the roster? I'm thinking, like, you don't want Micah Parsons getting hurt in the last 2 games of this season either. What about Micah?
Well, I spoke to Micah this afternoon, and he made it clear that beating the Philadelphia Eagles, he said, quote, would probably make our year. So he is going out full bore and looking to still be a leader on the Cowboys defense, something defensive coordinator Mike Zimmer challenged him to do a few weeks ago. And since all he's done since he came back from his Week 10 high ankle sprain is lead the league in both sacks and quarterback pressures in that time. So Parsons really is kind of taking it upon himself to be that vocal locker room leader in the absence of a Dak Prescott and now the absence of CeeDee Lamb. And he's going out 100% to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. He said, look, a week ago, F Philly, I see all their fans in my Twitter mentions. And he said he knows this week when they go play them, they're be chanting F Dallas and all other kinds of obscenities. And he lives for that. He's a Pennsylvania native who went to Penn State. He's going to be out there on Sunday. And as long as he stays healthy, the Washington game as well in Week 18.
All right, well, that's good news for Cowboys fans. How about for Mike McCarthy? How does CeeDee Lamb being shut down for the rest of this season affect the discussions he's already having with Jerry Jones about his future?
I think it might have some impact. When I spoke to Jerry Jones after the Buccaneers game on Sunday, he said, look, I got to tip my cap to Mike McCarthy in terms of the effort and the way he has his team playing. Like, they don't know they can't play for the Super Bowl this year. That's what Jones said after a year of a 5-year coaching contract he signed with Dallas back in 2020. I think Jones is still kind of evaluating, waiting to see what's the final record at the end of this. And certainly injuries are going to be a factor. But Jones did tell me on Sunday night that injuries will not be the only factor in his decision-making process.
It's going to be quite an offseason for the Dallas Cowboys. We're looking ahead to the draft, of course, already. At least 2 of our draft experts on their latest mock drafts have the Cowboys taking the running back Ashton Jeanty out of Boise State in the 1st round. But does this add maybe receiver? We already knew they had a need at receiver, O-line, running back. How does this necessarily, CeeDee Lamb being shut down for the rest of the season, knowing what his shoulder is, does it change anything in the way they evaluate players for the draft now?
That's a good question, Russ. I don't think it dramatically alters their approach. They've probably looked around and know that wide receiver is a position they have to address because in name, number 2 wide receiver, Brandon Cooks, he's set to be a free agent this offseason. And then you look around and they're still kind of evaluating what do they have in Jalen Tolbert, a 3rd-round pick from a couple years back, Jalen Brooks, a 2023 7th-round pick. So I think wide receiver was always going to be a position they're going to look at in terms of the draft. And it's interesting, the Genty conversation, right? Because the Cowboys, they're pushing to win with their last few wins. I think it's now Frisco native. So he's from and went to high school right around where I am right here at the Cowboys facility. And Parsons even had him on his podcast, The Edge with Micah Parsons, earlier this year. And he said he really likes Genty and the kind of person he is. So that would make sense. I would be interested to see, is Jerry Jones going to invest a 1st-round pick in a running back again? Because the last time he did that was Ezekiel Elliott in 2016 when he took him 4th overall. And then after he kind of overpaid him with the 6-year, $90 million contract in which Elliott's rushing yards per carry declined every single year of his career, I think that might be something that Jones is leery about. And they also have Rico Dowdle on the roster, who's just over 100 yards, around 100 yards away from 1,000 yards rushing. But then again, he's set to be a free agent this offseason too. So as you said, Russ, at the beginning of your question, there's a lot of needs here in Dallas.
No doubt about it. And a big news day out of the Dallas Cowboys as CeeDee Lamb has been shut down for the rest of the season with his shoulder injury. And we are so thankful that we got boots on the ground.
Movie camera, hey, Cowboys fans. Today, we've got some breaking news that could completely reshape the Dallas Cowboys' plans for 2025. After a disappointing season, Jerry Jones seems ready to take an aggressive approach to rebuild the team, and one name is at the center of it all: Sam Darnold. The quarterback, who's having the best season of his career with the Vikings, is set to become one of the most sought-after free agents this offseason. But why are the Cowboys so interested in Darnold? Stick around, because in 50 seconds, I'll reveal everything. 3 o'clock, the current state of the Cowboys. With a 6-8 record, this season hasn't been what we hoped for. Dak Prescott, despite showing flashes of brilliance, has struggled with injuries and inconsistencies, and his hefty contract is becoming a point of contention. Looking ahead to 2025, the Cowboys are projected to have significant cap space, giving them room to make bold moves. Jerry Jones and his team see Darnold as an opportunity to create healthy competition at quarterback, or even trade Prescott for assets to strengthen other areas of the roster. Fire the big reveal. According to sources close to the organization, Dallas is at the top of the list of teams interested in Darnold. The veteran quarterback has led the Vikings to a 10-3 record so far, throwing for an impressive 3,299 yards and 28 touchdowns in 13 games. It's the best season of his career, and Vikings offensive coordinator Wes Phillips has already acknowledged that Darnold will be highly sought after this offseason. Adding Darnold could not only fuel an internal QB battle, but also open the door for the Cowboys to consider a potential Prescott trade. Lightbulb, what does this mean? This signals a more aggressive rebuilding strategy. If Darnold joins, the Cowboys could bet on a quarterback who's shown tremendous growth in 2024 while leveraging Prescott's market value to address other roster needs. However, such a move comes with risks. Making a QB change is never easy for a franchise with the Cowboys' storied history. Flex Biceps, now we want to hear from you. Do you think Sam Darnold would be a smart investment for the Cowboys? Should Prescott remain the unquestioned starter, or is it time to explore new options? Megaphone, join the conversation. Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with fellow fans, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss any updates or analysis about the Dallas Cowboys. American football, go Cowboys! See you in the next video.